The topic for today's session is matrix multiplication. So we are going to learn matrix multiplication in C programming. Matrix multiplication can be difficult if we do not understand how to perform it. It looks very complex, but once you know the method of performing the multiplication, it's very easy. Even programming becomes easy then. So basically writing a C program or a C code for performing this matrix multiplication also turns out to be very easy or very simple if we understand how the multiplication actually happens. So let's go to the next thing. Since we are doing multiplication, let us just revise how to do matrix multiplication. Okay. Now, first of all, you need to remember whenever we perform matrix multiplication, there is one condition you have to check for. And what is that condition? The condition is that the columns of the first matrix should be equal to the number of rows in the second matrix. This is the condition. Alright. So, as you see over here, R is the number of rows and C is the number of columns. So this is number of columns, this is number of rows in the first matrix. The second matrix, this is the number of rows and this is the number of columns. Now what we have to check for is, are these two things same or equal? If they are equal, then only you can perform matrix multiplication. If they are not equal, you cannot go ahead with matrix multiplication. So that is a prerequisite for matrix multiplication. Now, once we check for this condition, what will be the final matrix? I'll call that matrix as resultant matrix. So this resultant matrix will have how many rows and how many columns? That depends on what is the number of rows in the first matrix and what is the number of columns in the second matrix. So basically this value into this would be the dimension of the resultant matrix. So in this example, number of rows is 3 and number of columns is also 3. So hence the number of rows in the final matrix will be 3 and number of columns will be also 3. So it will be basically a 3 by 3 matrix. So this is basics about matrix multiplication. Let us go to an example. This is an example. As you see the matrix over here, the dimension of it is 2 by 2. Same over here, this one is also 2 by 2. Now since these are 2 by 2 matrices, it really does not matter whether we check for that condition, because all the number of rows are equal to all the number of columns. So it really doesn't make sense in this example to check, but still let's check for the condition. And what is the condition? Is the number of rows in the second matrix equal to number of columns in the first matrix? Are they equal? Yes, they are equal. If they are equal, you can perform the operation, the multiplication, and this will be the size or the dimension of the final resultant matrix. So it will be 2 by 2. So how do we actually perform the matrix multiplication? Let us see with this example. You have to remember, you have to multiply the first row with the first column. Okay, what I mean by this is, you have to multiply 1 with 5, sum plus, what I mean by sum is plus this into this. So basically it will be 1 into 5 plus 2 into 0. That will be my first element, which is over here in the resultant matrix. Okay, so 1 into 5 is 5 plus 2 into 0 is 0. So 5 plus 0 is 5. How to go about with the next element? You have to multiply this row with now the next column, which is this one. So how do I multiply? 1 into 6 plus 2 into 7. So as you see over here, 1 into 6 is 6 plus 2 into 7, 14. So 6 plus 14, 20. This is the element, final element. How do you go about with the next? You multiply the next row now with the first column. So 3 into 5 plus 4 into 0. So 3 into 5 is 15, 4 into 0 is 0. So 15 plus 0 is 15. And the last is, again multiply this row, which is the last thing you have to do, with the second column. So what is the second column? Let's do that now. 3 into 6, which is 18, and 4 into 7, which is 28. Okay, so I'll just clear off everything. That is how it works. So 6 into 3 plus 7 into 4, you get 46. Alright. Now this is the technique of going about. Again, I'll just quickly revise. You have to first multiply the first row and the column, then again this with the next column. After that you multiply this row with this column, and again this row with the next column. That's how you have to do with the multiplication of matrices. Now let us look at another example. This is another example where the size of the matrix is not the same, as in the number of rows and columns is not really the same in both of the matrices. So first you have to check for the condition. What is the condition? Condition is that the number of columns in the first matrix should be equal to the number of rows in the second matrix. Are these equal? Yes, you can go ahead with the matrix multiplication. What will be the final matrix size be? So it will be this into this, which is 3 by 3. So the final resultant matrix will be 3 by 3 matrix. So you can solve this example for your practice and see which are the elements you get at each of the rows and each of the columns. Alright, let us go on to writing a C program for performing the matrix multiplication. Now the first thing you would write is the header file, obviously. Then comes the main function. Now in the main function you need to declare all the variables you would require in this program. So I'll just declare. Along with that you would require matrices. Now this first matrix will be the one which will be storing the elements of the first matrix. This matrix which is called as second is the second matrix, and this matrix which is called as multiply is the final or resultant matrix. Now as you see, the number of rows and columns maximum I have given is 10. This is just to not complicate or to have not to actually have too many number of elements. You can have the size as 20, 50, 50 by 50, 100 by 100, whatever you wish to. Now this particular matrix, all the matrices actually are of the type integer, so I have declared it as integer. Now once you are done with all the declarations, there are some variables I might require in the code, some also. Now this row 1 is the variable to store the number of rows in the first matrix of the first matrix. This number of this column, oh there's a spelling mistake over here, it's a column actually. This variable would be storing the number of columns in the first matrix. This variable will be storing the number of rows in the second matrix, and this variable will be storing the number of columns in the second matrix. Okay, let us go ahead with the code. First of all, you need to take input from the user the number of rows and columns in the first matrix. So I am doing that. So a simple printf statement and a scanf statement to take the input. As I have already told you, row 1 and column 1 are the two variables which will store the number of rows and columns of the first matrix. So since it is scanf statement, you need to mention what is the data type. Okay, since it is integer, it is %d. Next thing would be taking the actual elements in the first matrix. So once we know how many rows and columns are there in the first matrix, we need to take the number of the actual elements in that matrix actually. So how do we do that? The two for loops are very important. Why so? Because this is a two-dimensional array. To take input in the two-dimensional array, you require two for loops. One to control the rows and second one to control the columns. So the two for loops are over here. First I have used C variable and second one I have used D variable. You can use any variables of your choice. Now how do we take input? We write the end or the ampersand sign, the name of the two-dimensional array, how many number of rows and how many number of columns. So C is actually number of rows and D is actually number of columns. Alright, and these are the conditions, the for loop conditions. We have seen previously how to take input in a two-dimensional array. If you still have any issues with regards to this, please watch the previous videos. Let's go ahead. Next we need to take the number of rows and columns in the second matrix. So which is that? Which is row 2 and column 2. Number of rows in the second matrix and number of columns in the second matrix. The user will enter and those values will get stored. Now the next thing, this is very important part. This is a prerequisite required before you perform the matrix multiplication. And what is that? That is the condition check. This is the condition check which has to happen before the multiplication is performed. And the condition is that the number of columns in the first matrix should be equal to number of rows in the second matrix. Then only you can perform the matrix multiplication. If they are not equal to, this is not equal to sign, then you cannot perform the matrix multiplication. So you have to print this statement saying you cannot perform matrix multiplication if they are not equal to. But if they are equal to, then the else part says take the elements input from the user of the second matrix. Okay, so basically only if you can perform the multiplication, then only the elements in the second matrix are taken input from the user and then you go ahead with the program. Otherwise you do not go ahead with the program. That's what it means. So we go on to the next thing. So how to actually take input in the second matrix, same way like how we have taken in the first matrix, only thing the name of the matrix, or I would say the two-dimensional array, would change. So this is how it would be. Next thing, okay, this is the code for performing the actual multiplication of the matrices. Okay, we will see in detail what this code actually means or what happens in each of the line by using an example. Right now it is difficult to understand, or right now it looks very complicated because there are 3 for loops. As you see, there are 3 for loops required, and then this is the formula actually, or the statement where the multiplication happens. Okay, now multiply is that matrix where the answer or the resultant or the product of the two matrices are stored. So the name of that matrix is multiply. Okay, so that's why I am using this multiply matrix over here. You will understand this better when I use an example. Going ahead with The last part of the code is to print the final matrix, or I would call it as resultant matrix, after the multiplication is performed, and the resultant matrix is called as multiply. How do you print? Again, same for loops you use. 2 for loops are a must because it's a 2-dimensional array, and that's it. You use a printf statement and you print the elements of the matrix onto the console. So that's it with this particular C program for writing matrix multiplication. Let's go further to see what exactly happens over here in this code. In this part, exactly how the matrix multiplication happens. Now I have just written down that part over here, as you see, once again, so that it becomes easier for you to relate with. Let's take this example, which I asked you all to actually solve in the previous slide. So first of all, as you see in this code, there are 3 loops. One is this, okay, this is loop 1, this is your loop 2, which is also called as inner loop, and this is the innermost loop, which is loop 3. You need to use different loop variables every time. You cannot be using same loop variables. You have to use different loop variables, and the loop keeps on incrementing. Okay. Now, what happens? What is the way of going about with this nesting of loop, or the structure of flow would be? First thing, you check if this condition is true. So first time C variable, which is the outermost variable, is initialized to 0, and you check if C is less than rows 1. Okay, rows 1 will have some value, so you have to check if C is less than rows 1. If yes, then only you will enter the for loop and check this. Basically, first do this initialization and then check for this. If this is also true, then you will go inside that loop and the innermost loop will get executed. So in that innermost loop, you will check for k less than row 2. Now if this is also true, then what you do is you go inside of that loop and you perform this operation, whatever it is. Okay, and then it goes on and on. Okay, so after you perform this, what will happen? This k variable will get incremented. So you come back over here and then again you check for this condition. If it is true, again you execute this line with different variables now. Then again k will be incremented while you are exiting out from the loop. Then again you will check over here. If it is true, then again you execute this line. If it is false, what will happen is this will not get executed. What will happen is this, you will exit out from the loop. Okay, so basically you will exit out from which loop? This D loop, I would say, this D for loop wala, this one. Alright, so how would you exit out? When you are exiting out, these lines will get executed because they are just there inside that D. So D for loop starts over here and ends over here. So these two lines will get executed, and then while you are leaving from this D for loop, D will get incremented. So D will get incremented to the next value, and then again you will check for this condition. If it is true, you will enter that D for loop once again and do all these things again. Then it will go on and on. When D condition fails, that time what will happen is you will exit out from this part also and you will increment C, which is the outermost variable. So C will become the next value. C will take the next value. So C plus plus will happen, and then C will go to the next value, which is, say, C will be like 1 second time, the next time. So then you will check, is C less than rows again, and then again you have to perform all of this for the next iteration. So this is how it works. This is a rough idea. We'll see with an example. I'll clear this out for you all. Okay. Now first time So this is the first iteration. Now what is iteration? Iteration is nothing but round, I would say. Okay, so first time C loop. So first time C loop will be executed. So first iteration of C loop. So first time C is equal to 0 obviously, and C should be less than rows 1. So what is rows 1? Rows 1 is this variable. Okay, number of rows in the first matrix. So if C is 0 less than 3? Yes, 0 is less than 3. So hence you go inside the loop and you execute the next thing. What is the next thing? Initialize D to 0 and check if 0 is less than column 2. What is column 2? Column 2 is this variable, this value, which is having the number of columns in the second matrix. So is 0 less than 3? Yes, 0 is less than 3. Let's go inside the second loop now. Once we go inside the second loop, what will happen? K will be initialized to 0, and you have to check if 0 is less than number of rows in the second matrix, which is this one. Is 0 less than 2? I have written over here, is K less than 2? K is 0. 0 less than 2? Yes, it is. So what we do is we execute the inside of this K for loop. What is that? This is the full statement. Okay. So basically it will be like this ways. Initially sum was initialized to 0. So it will be a 0 plus first of C will take a value of 0 the first time. Over here you can see C is 0. What is K? K is also 0 the first time. And what is K over here? Also 0. What is D? D is also 0 the first time. So what is the element at first of 0, 0? Which means this. In the first matrix, what is the element at 0, 0 position? 3. And what is the element in the second matrix at 0, 0 position? 3 again. Okay. So these two values 3 into 3 will be multiplied, because that's the formula we have written down. Okay. And it will be added to sum, which is 0. This is how it would happen. Okay, so sum is 0. First time it was initialized to 0 in the program. So 0 plus 3 into 3, which is 9. So sum now has a value of 9. Okay, let us go ahead with next. What would happen is K would be incremented. So once K is incremented, what would happen? K would be 1 actually. So K will be 1 after incrementing, hence I will just write over here K is now 1. Okay, let us go ahead with, once K is incremented, again you have to go to this line and execute this. Okay, so what will happen? Since K is 1, you check again for that condition. Is K less than 2? What is 2? Rows 2 actually it is. The values of rows 2. That will never change. Values of rows 1, remember, rows 1, columns 2 and rows 2 will never change in the program. They will always remain the same. So K, which is equal to 1, is 1 less than 2? Of course it is. Let's go ahead and see what will happen. This time sum, which was previously 9, okay, sum which was previously 9 will be added to the next thing. Okay, let us see how you get that next thing over here. Let us just erase this out over here and let us write the new values which we have got after second time the K for loop is executed. So all these values are second time values. So previously sum was 9. So 9 plus, what is value of C? Still 0. What is value of K? This time it is 1 and not 0. What is value of k over here? Again it is 1 and not 0. 0 was previous case. And what is value of d? 0 only. So what is first of 0 1? In this matrix 0 1 is this element. And what is element 1 0 in the second matrix? It is this one. So this element is multiplied with this element. I have written down over here, and it is added to the previous sum, which is 9. So it will be 24 plus 9, which will give you an element of 30 or a total of 33. Okay, so this will be my first element. Okay, now where should this first element come in the final? If this is the final matrix, it should come over here actually, first element. Alright, so next thing, as per the code, what happens is k is incremented. Now k will be 2, so k will become 2. Once after that, what will happen is that you will again check is 2 less than, because you will come back to this line and you will again check is 2 less than 2. 2 is not less than 2, 2 is rather equal to 2. So you will not execute this line. This line will not be executed because the condition has failed. So what will happen? You will ignore these lines and you will execute what is after that. What is after that? These two lines, what you see. So what are those lines doing? You are putting some value in this new matrix, which is the final resultant matrix. At what position? C and D. Now what is C? 0. And what is D? Also 0. So what is the value of sum? Finally sum was 33. So a value of 33 is put at this position. Okay, so that is what you see over here. After that, what will happen is sum is again initialized to 0. Okay, because we have to do the next summation, right? Next product and sum we have to find. For that reason, we have to initialize it to 0. Then what will happen is D will get incremented because you are exiting out over here from the D loop. At this point you are exiting out from the D loop, so D will get incremented. So D will be now 1. As you see, I have written over here, D is now 1. And what will happen? The control will go over here once again with a new value of D, which is 1. So the first variable will be actually printed in this place over here. So let's see. That was that sum value which got printed over here. So this is the final matrix of us, and we have got so far one element. Like this way we have to get all the elements. Let us just go ahead with the code. Now in the next part, when D is 1, let us see what exactly happens. So we are still in the first iteration of C loop, remember that. So C is still 0 only, but D is now 1. Okay, so this is the second iteration of D loop. So is 1 less than 3? This is the condition check required for the for loop. Yes, 1 is less than 3. So therefore you execute what is inside the D for loop. What is that? That is this K for loop. So let us execute that. First time K will be 0. And you have to check for this condition. So again you have to start from the lowest point of K. So K will be first 0, then 1, then 2. So K is now first time 0. Is 0 less than 2? Of course. So because of this you execute what is inside over here. Now what is this inside thing? Let us solve it. First time sum is 0, obviously, because you know that sum was initialized to 0 in the last few steps. Plus first of C. What is C? C is still 0. C is still 0. And what is K? K is now 0 as well, because you know that first time the K followed K is 0. Now what is second value? k of 0 again, but d value has changed this time. D is no more 0, d is 1, because this is the second iteration of the d for loop, so d is 1. So what is the element at first of 0, 0? 3. And what is the element at second of 0, 1? 1. So 3 will be multiplied with 1. That is what I have written over here. The next thing is sum will be actually taking a value of 3 into 1, which is 3. Next you have to increment k. So k will be now no more 0, k will be 1. Let's go ahead. Now again you have to check, is 1 less than 2? Yes, 1 is less than 2. So what you perform, what is inside the k for loop? What is that? This full line with new values of k. Okay, so let us just check what are the new values of k. I'll just wipe out these previous values. Sum is also not 0, sum is having now some new value. Okay, so sum has this old value which is 3, previous value I would say. What is c? C is still 0. What is k? K is now 1, remember. Okay, so k is 1. Next, what is k again? 1. What is d? D is also 1, remember. Okay, so what is first of 0, 1? First of 0, 1 means this element. And what is second of 1, 1? Second of 1, 1 means this element. So these two are multiplied, 4 into 9. So 4 into 9 is 36 plus 3. That would be 39 as the final sum. Okay, we go ahead with k is incremented, k will be 2 now. So after that again you got to check for, is 2 less than 2? No, 2 is equal to 2. So condition fails. Hence what you do is you finish or you come out from this loop and you execute what is outside the loop. What is that? These two lines which are outside the loop. And what are those two lines doing? Assigning that value, that sum what you have got. What is this sum now? This sum is this 39. In this place, what is that place? What is C? 0. And what is D? 1. So which means it will be actually this second position element. So that will be 39. It will be assigned in that multiply, which is a resultant matrix, and sum is initialized to 0. So sum is initialized to 0. Let's go ahead. What happens next? D is incremented to 2 now, because you are exiting out from the D for loop and going back over here. So D will be no more 1, now D will be 2. So you will do all these things back again with D as 2. Let's go ahead and see. These are the two values, sorry, you would get. 39 is what we got right now, and 33 was the previous value what we got. So far we have got two elements after matrix multiplication. Let's go ahead with the next thing. Now next time, obviously this is 33, I'll just write it down over here, and this is 39. Okay, let us go ahead. Now we are still in the first iteration of C loop, remember. So C is still 0. C value has not yet changed. But this time D is 2. Okay, note 0, neither 1, it is 2. So this is the third iteration of D loop. So let's go ahead. In the third iteration, first time K will be 0. So is 0 less than 2? Yes, you will perform what is inside this full thing. Now let us check whether the values what we see over here are correct. So first of C, what is C? 0. What is K? 0 the first time. So what is first of 0, 0? Which element is present at 0, 0 in the first matrix? This one. Which element is present at K, which is 0, and D, which is this time now 2? So 0 2, 0 2 position, which element is present in the second matrix? 0 2 actually means this. So 3 will be multiplied with 5. So 3 into 5, and sum was 0 obviously initialized in the last case. So 0 plus 3 into 5, which will be 15. So sum will have a value of 50. Let's go ahead. K will be incremented. So K will be now 1. Let's go ahead with K is 1. Is 1 less than 2? Yes. Again you have to execute this line with the new value of K. Okay. So let us just wipe out these values quickly and see what are the new values you get. New values of C will not change, 0 only. K will change, so K is now 1, and K over here is also 1. D is 2 because this is the second iteration. So this is the matrix values, I would say. So let's see which elements are present at these positions. So 0 1 in the first, so 0 1 is actually 4, and 1 2 in the second is this. So you multiply 4 with 7. So 4 is multiplied with 7. What is this 15? 15 is this previous sum you had got. So 15, which is sum plus 4 into 7, you get 28 plus 15. So this is how you would get the next value of sum. You go ahead, increment K. K will be now 2. Again you will check, is 2 less than 2? No, 2 is not less than 2. 2 is equal to 2. So this will fail. And what you will do is you will exit out from this part and again execute this part. What is that? You storing the next element at C, which is actually 0, and D, which is actually 2 this time. So 0 2 is this place, the third place in the first row. So that will be the value 43, because here after doing this you got a value of 43. Okay, then again sum will be initialized to 0, and you go ahead with, actually what happens is you would perform from here, you would perform the next D for loop. Okay, so D will be then incremented. D will be now 3. You have to check, is 3 let me write that over here, is 3 less than 3? This is the fourth iteration of D loop. You see, D is not less than 3 because D is actually exactly equal to 3. So what will happen is, the fourth iteration you will not execute what is inside the D for loop. So what will happen is that you will increment C because you are exiting out from this D for loop. So hence, while exiting out from the D for loop over here and going to the next round of C, C should be incremented. So C will be incremented to next value, which is 1. So next time C will be 1. So you have to do all over again all those things what you did with a new value of C now, which is 1. So this is, I would say, the second iteration of C loop. Remember, all this while you were in the first iteration of C loop. Now this is the second iteration of C loop, which is this value 1. So is 1 less than 3? Of course. Let's go ahead. Now first time D is equal to 0. Is 0 less than 3? Yes. This is the first iteration of D loop. So inside the D loop is a K loop, so first time K is equal to 0. Is 0 less than 2? Yes, so we execute what is inside. What are those lines? This line. Okay, so this is how we would get, and sum will take a value of 21. So this is actually multiplying 7 with 3, so you get 21. Okay, next thing what you would do, let's go next. K will be incremental, K will be now 1. After incrementing K, again you will check if 1 is less than 2. 1 is less than 2, so you go ahead and do that same, this full line once again, which means you multiply this 2 with this 6 first time. Okay, so 2 into 6 is 12, and this previous sum value is added, so you get a value of 33. So sum will be 33 now. Go ahead with it, increment sum, so sum will be 2, and you check for again that condition, is 2 less than 2? Yes, 2, actually no, 2 is not less than 2, sorry. So 2 is equal to 2. So what will happen is this will not get executed, and what you will do is you will directly come out and execute these two lines as you see over here. Okay, so what are those two lines? I have put it down, storing this sum value into that multiply resultant matrix, which is at the place 1 0. What is 1 0 place? 1 0 place would be the second row, second position. Suppose say this is the first element, second element, and this. So at this place, this 33 will be put in the matrix. And then what will happen? Sum will be put again a value of 0, because you have to go ahead with the next multiplication of the element. And then D is incremented to 2. So once you increment D to 2, again you will perform all these things, which are these things, with a new value of D. Okay, so D will actually not be 2, sorry, D will be 1 first time. D will be 1, and then D will be 2. So you will go on doing this, and for the last iteration C will take the next value, and then you will perform all these things once again to get the last row. So this is how you would perform the matrix multiplication. I will clear everything so that it looks clear. So the other values, what you all can do is you all can try it out, trace it out by yourself and see how do you get the other values. What I mean by other values is the few remaining elements, this, and the last row, this and this. Please try this out by yourself and see if you are getting it. Just remember, this is not 2, this is 1. So this is a slight mistake in the slide which is there. Okay, so this was it. Again, what I explained to you all is this part in the code, and after you are done with this part, what happens is whatever is present in this multiply, which is the resultant matrix, is printed onto the screen, and that's it. You will get the final resultant matrix, and you are done with matrix multiplication. So this was it for today's class. I hope you all have understood. Try out the remaining elements in the resultant matrix. Try to find if you get the correct elements by tracing the program, and check for yourself.